speaking of Shohei, Bobby, another list putting the Rangers right up there as a target?
Yeah, this was CBS this week. The Shohei Ohtani trade destinations ranking 29 possible landing spots based on who's best positioned for a deal. So, they have different tiers here. Will Brinson, take note here of what a tier is. The first one, no point in even trying. By the way, I just want to mention this one because I want to point out the Rockies were in no point in even trying. So the Rockies owner probably was right to reply the way he did and was like, wouldn't that be fun? But yeah, there's no way in hell that he'd resign here. But they break it down into contenders. It doesn't get there. It doesn't get to an interesting list of like real serious contenders to trade for Ohtani until you get to the top 5. Number 5 is the Reds. Number 4 is the Dodgers. Number 3 is the Rays. Number 2 is the Orioles. And then number 1 is your Texas Rangers. And here's the write-up on it. It says, the last month has not gone smoothly for the Rangers. This is 2 games into their post-All-Star series. But the last month has not gone smoothly for them, who nevertheless sit in first place in the AL West. Jacob deGrom will miss the rest of the season following his second career Tommy John surgery. And while replacing deGrom is basically impossible, Ohtani's one of the guys who can do it. Ezekiel Duran has been very good most of the time DH, but he's no Ohtani. And frankly, Duran is exactly the kind of player the Angels should seek in an Ohtani trade. I doubt the Rangers, who have a farm system capable of putting together a winning offer, even without including Duran, would take him off the table. Texas has been so aggressive trying to build a winner in the last few offseasons. You don't spend all the money on deGrom, Seager, and Semien, only to hug prospects during Ohtani trade talks. The AL West rival thing is a complicating factor, but for my money, Texas makes the most sense for a Shohei Ohtani trade.
Okay.
To what part of it?
Just
why did your voice go like that?
Because I had a thing like get stuck in my throat.
Not in the rent game. Not in the rental game.
I'm struggling with what to do.
Oh, you going back? You turning on me?
No, I'm with you. I that's to me the smart play.
And again, I keep wanting this question answered. The Rangers with Ohtani as their ace are what as a contender? They go from what to what? How are we judging him as a true playoff ace?
Well, I don't think,
because that's to me what it's mainly for.
But I mean,
you can outscore people, but what is he as an ace?
Well, I mean, that's the thing, is that it's not just the question of what is he as an ace, but it's also, again, you do have to factor in the batting portion of it in terms of what he contributes to the run support of your team heading into the playoffs. He makes your offense better. Like despite what some coaches here in the DFW area might say, you want to score as many points as possible. True. So you can do that with Shohei Ohtani. And then the fact that he is not a DeGrom level pitcher. He is obviously a much bigger factor as a hitter than he is as a pitcher, but he's still a really good pitcher.
He's still a good front of the rotation guy.
And he makes Evaldia too, which is good.
He's your best. He's your best pitcher to trade for.
So, I mean, MLB on Fox did a mock trade. Leiter, Owen White, Duran, Aaron Zavala, Foscue, and Emiliano Teodo.
That's a much more realistic trade, I think, than what was thrown out by ESPN the other day, where the highest prospect they gave up was like Leiter.
Like, what makes the Rangers more dangerous? Justin Verlander as a pitcher or Shohei Ohtani as a pitcher?
As a pitcher?
Yep.
I mean, I think Verlander.
I agree. So I'm saying you factor in everything it would take, not having control. Is it worth it to get, the other side with the bat? I mean, and what was that? What was that package again?
Leiter, Owen White, Duran, Zavala, Foscue, and Teodo.
That's a significant group of prospects. Leiter, obviously, you're buying low on. Owen White's the top pitching prospect in the system, with Wyatt Langford coming in now. He's the third overall prospect in the system, but White's their top pitching prospect. Leiter is the number 6 prospect. Some people still have him as a borderline top 100 prospect. Foscue he's knocking on the door of the majors right now as a middle infielder with an OPS consistently over like 900 the last couple of years. He is a pro-ready hitter, and then Duran is the same. If you could put Duran and Foscue in the middle of your infield for the future, I mean, I think that would be intriguing to the Angels.
Does that include an AL West tax that I would be applying if I was Artie Moreno? I'm taxing you in the West more.
Yeah, it probably. I assume it does. This is a big haul. This is a big haul for Anaheim if they were to do this trade. Yeah, because Fox did all these trades. They did one with Dodgers, and they did one with Boston, New York, Baltimore. For the most part, a lot of these teams are giving up at least, they're giving up a current major league player. Somebody that could step in today and play.
Yeah.
And and there's Duran. And that would Duran would fit that bill.
Now let's look at last year's teams in a similar position and see how it worked out for them.
Not well.
Oh, no.
This scared this article really killed my buzz.
Don't you rain on my parade.
It killed all my buzz. Because I was thinking, all right,
for the record, are you in on trading for Ohtani?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely do a rental. We've seen in the city the difference for a team that's very similar at this point in the season to the one from 2010. We saw the difference that Cliff Lee made.
He did. Now, he ain't Cliff Lee.
Cliff Lee had a 4 ERA during his time here in Texas leading into the playoffs before he hit it. I mean, Ohtani is the combined, what you're getting out of him in both outputs, I think, is just as impactful as what Cliff Lee does.
Though, the year before was dominant in the playoffs.
Yeah. Cy Young Award winner.
with Philadelphia. And that's what he was. I mean, he was there. He was also a Yankee killer, and they knew they needed to beat them to win.
Wish he was a Giant killer.
There you go. So I went back and looked, and ESPN did a good job looking back last year's trade deadline deals. And a lion's share, this is where it really gets scared of me. And we have always heard, I've always been under the belief that analytics tells you this, buying is almost always bad and selling is almost always good. If you just go back history, you want to be a seller. You never want to be a buyer in the market. Just sell, sell, sell. And some of the great teams, the Rays, do this all the time. They both buy and sell the deadline. Right? They'll buy, but then they sell to recoup their farm systems. It's like you want to keep your inventory set, but you also want to buy, right? You want to be doing both at the same time. So I put them into three categories. You either got better, worse, or you stayed the same. Now, sometimes there was like a 3-team trade. So last year there was a 3-team deal where it involved 2 teams that sold. So the Phillies bought from the Cubs and the Angels. They bought David Robertson from the Cubs. I'm sorry, they bought David Robertson, from the Cubs, and they bought Brandon Marsh from the Angels. Okay, they bought both. Philadelphia was the only team who bought whose grade got better.
Oh.
Okay, so of all the trades, and I excluded one of them, the Cardinals-Yankees traded a current starting pitcher for a current center fielder. They both bought and sold, right? So it kind of canceled each other out. They were both trading major leaguer for major leaguer. That was it. They weren't buying a big-time prospect or big-time player for prospects. Of all the teams and all the trades, the only one where the buyer is happier today than they were then was that Philadelphia trade where they got David Robertson and Brandon Marsh. The Padres got Josh Hader. They were given the same exact grade, so they stayed the same. That was also a win. There were 9 buyers at the deadline. 9. 7 got worse.
Oh.
1 got better, and 1 is the same today. Of the teams that sold, there were 10 sellers. Because remember, one deal was a 3-team deal. They had 2 sellers. Of the 10 that sold, 7 are better off today with a better grade. 3 are worse.
Wow.
That scared the crap out of me. It scared me. Now, I'm still a proponent of, look, you don't know what's going to happen next year. Sandy Alcantara can't pitch his way out of a paper bag right now.
Yeah.
All right? You'd never know. You might have Corey Seager having a career year. You might have Josh Young having a career year. You might have Jonah Heim having a career year. They may, Heim and Young might fall off a map next year. Yeah. You don't know. So, strike while the iron's hot. Take your chance. Maybe you steal one. So I'm still a proponent of going for it and trading some guys, but this scared me.
Well, and doesn't that speak to what you're just talking about there? If you don't know what they're going to be next year, doesn't that further emphasize or open your perspective, Sean, at the idea of a rental specifically? Well, somebody that would just be for this team.
I thought we all agreed that they're just starting their run.
They are just starting their run. Yeah, and I'm not saying going for a rental, like, you obviously you want to try to re-sign.
I just mean Ohtani specifically. Yeah, that where it's likely he's not likely to end up here. Now, I don't know. Maybe he comes here and he realizes, hey, this is perfect. I like the Metroplex. I don't have the same media attention. Maybe he buys into all of that. It is interesting when you look at some of the biggest, like I just had this article from CBS, some of the most impactful trade deadline deals we've seen in the last 30 years or so. and you look at how did it impact them. Astros acquire Randy Johnson. They lost in the NLDS.
Yeah.
Dodgers acquire Manny Ramirez. He was great. They lost in the NLCS. Braves acquire Fred McGriff. They lose in the NLCS. Beltran to the Astros, lose in the NLCS.
The McGriff Braves one, though, that did work out.
It was a great trade. Yeah, it was a great trade. It's just, even some of the best deadline deals we've seen, it has not consistently added up to you winning the World Series with them.
Tolo Gabe, can you imagine getting him in a trade, signing him, and he's here when DeGrom gets healthy and back to full speed? Can you imagine what that lineup and rotation looks like? You absolutely take that chance.
Yeah, the issue is you got to be able to re-sign him. You're going to give up. That is a lot to give up for a rental. If the guy's got 2.5 years of control, I'm giving up a lot. Soto had control, right?
Tolo Trey,
last year?
If we're going to buy and sell simultaneously, we may need to just see what we can get for Perez. So there's Tolo Trey Evans chiming in as well.
Bag of baseballs?
Yeah, I was going to say, what, could you get some BP balls or, I don't know, maybe a new water cooler for the bullpen? Something.
Because, look, I'll tell you, if I'm Anaheim... If I'm Anaheim and you want Shohei Ohtani, I'm not saying no without Josh Young. If I'm Anaheim,
look, maybe this is something where maybe this is why ultimately the Angels don't make a deal. Maybe they would be motivated to. I don't know. Maybe there are enough buyers out there who look at it and say, I don't want to do this without assurances that I'll sign. And if Ohtani won't give assurances to anybody, the Angels may not be able to move him because the team that's receiving him may just refuse to go in on it.